All right. Hello, and welcome to our session on web accessibility. We have collected quite a few questions that may fill our time, but feel free to ask uh, and comment. And if time allows, we'll definitely answer them, or we'll follow up with a additional article post section or session. You will see some links being shared in the comments, and that is ImageX team providing some background. So feel free to click those. Hello, I'm Michael Maxim, and I'm director of our business analysis and quality assurance group here at ImageX. And I have a background in service design and digital communications involving websites dating back to the early 2000s.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marta Beynon, Senior Business Analyst here at ImageX. I am passionate about thoughtful, user-focused digital experiences. And as a BA, I work closely with both our clients as well as our internal teams here, where we include accessibility at several points throughout our process to ensure a meaningful solution for everyone.
About digital accessibility, what is it? Well, it ensures websites and content are usable by people with varying abilities, allowing them to find, navigate, and interact without barriers. Our questions are broken up into some sections to make them a little bit easier to group. So our first sections is questions around standards and tools. So what has changed in WCAG 2.2? Do we have to redo everything?
For those of you new to the world of accessibility, WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It's a bit of a mouthful, hence the WCAG. So this outlines a set of successful criteria that address various aspects of accessibility, all the way from visual and auditory perception over to cognitive and motor skills.
WCAG 2.2 is the most recent criteria, although quite a few regulations either call for 2.0 or 2.1. So the biggest changes in 2.2 are ensuring your focus is not obscured when you're navigating with a keyboard. So key elements are not hidden under sticky headers. If you're dragging and dropping elements in an interactive format, those need to have a keyboard accessible fallback. And authentication. Those CAPTCHA puzzles being used on a login that could break the WCAG rules. So the key updates include focus indicators, some minimum target sizes, that's the size of your buttons, and preventing barriers from login. So if you already meet 2.1, you're 90% of the way there.
For our next question, we were asked, we're on Drupal. What modules should we lean on?
Well, on Drupal, the admin interface is already WCAG 2.1, so you're covered there. Other modules that we recommend on Drupal would be some automated alt text modules. So there's some through OpenAI, for example, that could automatically tag your photos to ensure there's descriptive text. There's another module called Editorial Ally, which will check content as you type and publish your content. So it will highlight any risks before being surfaced to the public. Oh, you're on mute, Marta.
Love technology these days. Thank you. Could you take the next question as well, please? Which screen readers and browsers should we test with in 2025?
Some recent surveys surfaced that JAWS and Chrome are close to 30% of usage for those using assisted technology. There's a screen reader tool, open source, called NVDA in Firefox, and that's around 20% of the range. And the voiceover tool that comes with your operating system. So in this case, iOS, the voiceover tool within that dominates mobile. So we recommend prioritizing, user patterns, not necessarily software versions. So focus on your keyboard tests, your screen magnifier, your voiceover tools, and then move to browser combinations. And we would recommend using, a JAWS Chrome or NVDA Firefox mix. So our next question, automated tools versus manual testing. What's the right mix, Marta?
So for automated tools, you normally find can normally find 25 to 35% of WCAG issues. And then for the rest, you need your human judgment to go through them. So some examples are contrast in images, logical focus order, alt text accuracy. And we recommend that you adopt a tiered approach for this. So start with your automated tools to get an initial baseline, and then do an exploratory manual pass for each new component that you've built. After that, go in and use assistive tech to do spot checks before a release. We really encourage you and your teams to log the defects and the root causes. You should turn repeat offenders into linters and or use Drupal coding standard rules. So our next question is asking about tools for accessibility. Mike, could you help us with that?
Sure. There's a few tools we like to use. One automated testing tool is called Wave. And this is one of our favorites to test a completed page. It's created by the Web AIM group, and it's free. You either press a button on a Chrome plugin, or you enter in your URL, and it will surface the page with icons and highlight issues for risk. And it prioritizes those by high priority, medium, and so forth. There's another tool called Lighthouse, and this is built into Chrome's development tools, as well as a tool called Google Page Speed. And this will give a score on accessibility. So after we run automated checks, we'll move to manual testing. And your automated tools could be 20 to 40% of your issues. Your manual testing will surface the rest. So the keyboard test, you don't really need a tool other than a keyboard and a desktop or a laptop. And then choose a screen reader. So for budget conscious folks, we use NVDA, and we tried to test this on Windows or a Mac. As you kind of simulate the experience, you might add some more tools to your mix, and sometimes the screen magnifier will also work. And again, that's usually built into your operating system, so that doesn't need to be third party. So our next section is around planning and measurement. And this question came in on any tips for how we can advocate for accessibility in our organization. And Marta, can you take this one?
Yes, for sure. So we have some really big ones here that will help. From a legal perspective, there's 11 of the G20 nations now reference WCAG in policy, which is fantastic. Another interesting fact is that lawsuits in the US, they rose 42% year over year. So definitely want to make sure you're taking care of accessibility. From an ROI perspective, think of building simpler pages. So, content with less technical bloat. They'll often load faster, and they're better for users with using assistive technology. And if you're building with that in mind, it's going to boost your SEO through higher engagement. which of course will then lead to better conversions of your organization's services or products. So it's a win-win. Another good reason is to include accessibility is that about 20% of US citizens report having at least one disability. And you should also position accessibility as a risk mitigation and or innovation, and not as a compliance overhead. So our next question here is, how do you plan for accessibility in projects?
Well, we recommend being explicit about your needs in any proposals, which laws or policies you need to follow. It is helpful also to check your color choices in your brand guidelines against WCAG contrast ratios before they're locked in. If possible, when planning, try to include users with disabilities in your user research or testing. And as you plan the project, think about setting concrete acceptance criteria related to accessibility as well. For your teams, think about providing training and some resources. So your internal team will be involved in content editing, sometimes testing or development if it's a shared project, and investing a little bit of time in training upfront can go a long way. And this can be either bringing in a consultant for a workshop, having a team member attend a webinar, or do some online courses as well. And there's a lot of good resources on the WCAG website to get you started. Marta?
They certainly do. So during a project, it's important to test early and often. There's a temptation to wait until everything is built, but don't do that. As each component or pages are built, go in and get some quick checks. You can also do automated scans as well as manual spot checks. And remember, it's easier to fix things during dev rather than after the fact, so get in early. Another area to plan for is content accessibility, which is many times overlooked. So often web projects involve migrating or creating content. You have text, you have images and documents. So you want to plan ahead and make that content accessible. And this means as you're importing content, ensuring all the images have an alt text. You can even assign staff to go ahead and write alt text for all legacy images. So that's getting done in parallel to other work you're doing. You need to ensure videos have captions or transcripts ready. And don't forget to have any of your downloadable PDFs or documents made accessible. If that's not possible, then an option is to turn them into HTML instead. There's a lot of legacy content, and so if that happens, prioritize what needs fixing versus what could be archived or addressed later. You could use your Google Analytics to take a look at what's being looked at the most to help you make those decisions.
And lastly, remember to allocate some budget and time for accessibility. All too often, this can be left out altogether. So having a small percentage allocated for the timing and budget for testing and remediation is helpful. So ensure your project budget and timeline include that effort. For our next question, what is the simplest thing a small team can do tomorrow? Marta?
Yes, so probably the first thing is turn on your browser's accessibility pane. For example, on Edge or Chrome in the DevTools, turn that on. And then you can run the homepage through an automated checker. That's another item that you could do. Try adding alt text guidance into the CMS upload dialog. And something else that's just quite useful is to do a keyboard-only walkthrough of just choose a critical user flow and then log every focus trap that you encounter. And what we mean by user flow is the series of actions and steps needed to achieve an end goal. So let's say you want to buy something on the website. So step 1, you're going to search for the item. And then step 2, you're now on a page, you're reading details about it. And then step 3, you'll add it into the cart. And then step 4, you're paying for it. So these 3 actions I just mentioned, the accessibility pane, the alt text guidance, and the keyboard walkthroughs, that will surface around 60% of beginner issues. So it'll give you a good chunk there. Another quick win is to pick one page and read it through a screen reader or a voiceover tool. And you can default that on your operating system.
And don't wait for perfection. So improve iteratively, and you're not going to fix everything overnight if your site is big, for example. So tackle high impact common issues first. Those will give you a big win, and then plan out to handle the more complex issues. So if you've got constraints and maybe some delays, be transparent, maybe in your accessibility statement of what you're working on. And leverage platform strengths. So those using Drupal know Drupal has strong accessibility features out of the box. So this is important if you're building forms, for example. In Drupal, the field labels are already accessible. So check to see which features your CMS has. And definitely any content added after a site launch tends to be a big risk. So stay on top of that and make sure new pages are checked.
So our next question is, what metrics prove our site is getting more accessible?
Good question. So you could track violations of accessibility criteria per X number of pages over time and see if they increase or decrease. There is a core web vitals section in the Google page speed tool that will provide you a score. So tracking that over time will help. You could count the number of contrast errors and see if that goes down. You could also survey your users on accessibility. So there's a series of questions called the System Usability Scale, SUS, and that will give you a good measure of the user's confidence in accessibility on your site. The next question. What are common accessibility issues you see in a website project? Marta?
So the most common and the easiest to spot is a low color contrast, making things really hard to read. You also need to check for missing alternate text. Most people don't know, but alt text is missing on over half of websites.
Mm-hmm.
And this prevents blind or low vision users from understanding important images because screen readers can't describe them. Also, form labels. That's another issue. Missing and improperly implemented form labels are a significant accessibility issue. This is found on about 48% of web pages. It's a big number. Lastly, don't forget, keyboard navigation is crucial for those who cannot use a mouse, and they're relying on the keyboard only or alternative input. So you have to ensure that all website functionality must be keyboard accessible. So Mike, how does ImageX embed accessibility into our workflows?
Great question. So our business analysts elicit requirements, and that helps define the tasks being developed. So we may write user stories with WCAG in mind. So for example, as a screen reader user, I can locate the main navigation via landmark regions. We will also add accessibility criteria into our acceptance criteria, right? So this is the definition of done. An example could be, passes the wave tool with 0 serious violations, and the focus order maintains based on the visual order. We also maintain a living non-functional requirements document that can be referenced by developers and the client. And we run grooming sessions where we do read-throughs of our tickets prior to being developed. So these could be in WCAG read-throughs as well. And this allows the developer to raise feasibility questions early on. Our next section is focused on content. So this question, we have thousands of legacy PDF. Where do we even start? Marta?
So the simple answer is triage. identify your high traffic and legal documents first. And to find them, you can look at your analytics or go to the FOIA ADA requests to check those. Some quick wins could be looking at converting recurring documents like your policies or brochures. So convert those PDFs into HTML wherever possible. HTML is so much easier and cheaper to maintain, and it's more accessible, so it's a win-win for that. Lastly, tackle your must-keep PDFs. So you could use a PDF UA, and this basically provides guidelines and requirements for creating and validating PDF files that can be easily read and interpreted by your ATs, which are basically your assistive technologies like screen readers. So ensure they have tag structure, that you add bookmarks and your alt text. You can always outsource your back catalog for processing. So, Mike, what would you consider are best practices for alt text on images?
Good question. We talked a little bit about alt text, but I'll dig in a little deeper here. So again, alt text is crucial for web accessibility. It provides meaningful description to your images, and you want to make sure anything that is decorative does not have an alt tag. So an effective alt text is concise, around 100 characters or less. It's descriptive, conveys the image's content and function surrounding the context and tone. Don't use image of or picture of in your description, because your screen reader will already add that. So by typing that out again, your user will hear image of twice, and that can be redundant. Use normal punctuation in case. An example of an alt text would be a group of students playing football, if there was a picture of students playing football. So it can be as simple as that. For complex images, you can provide a brief alt text and then maybe a longer description elsewhere on the page that isn't hidden. And that can help your non-accessibility users as well. Our next question here. Any advice for marketers writing accessible content? Marta?
Remember that headings tell a story. So screen readers users, they navigate by the headings. And according to WebAIM, they're using them 76% of the time. Also, ensure you're using descriptive links. So avoid generic links like click here, and instead use an action word coupled with an object. For example, download the 2025 price list. If you're using videos and or audio files, take note that transcripts and captions increase not only the SEO impressions, but also the watch time. And this is even for non-accessible users or disabled users. So it's an important thing to include.
For sure. The next question is, how can we make sure we maintain accessibility over time? And I'll take this one. The content team plays a huge role in ongoing accessibility. After launch, new content will be added, blog posts, pages, PDFs, images. So it's crucial that all contributors understand the accessibility basics. We recommend also doing periodic reviews, spot tests. You could also do a more substantial review of your site every 6 to 12 months. And as part of your development process, any new feature being added should go through some accessibility checks, and as well as your content. So work that into any development workflow and any content creation workflow. So as part of the approval process before launch, make sure that there's a little bit of a checklist. And keep records of known decisions, right? So if there's areas of the site that have exceptions, maybe it's an older application that isn't fully accessible yet, document that. So as people come and go from your organization, there's that record. And that can also help with any kind of legal requests that come in. And if you've added a feature to bring in accessibility, document that as well, right? So there may be some questions of why does our video player look different? Maybe that was enhanced to bring in some more accessible features. Our next question is, how do AT users feel about overlays? Marta?
So assistive technology users, they actually, overlays can be seen as a quick fix. So in reality, they often intercept focus, and they'll be hiding semantics as well and creating new barriers. So you want to, if you are going to use them, make sure you're testing them quite extensively.
And overlays can also be called modals or pop-ups, and those can be the shadow boxes that interrupt your viewing experience or reading experience, and have a little dialog box.
Very true. So who wins, Mike? Is it color contrast or brand guidelines?
Good question. So WCAG, the AA requirements, need a higher contrast between your body text and your background. So similar to the slide that you're looking at right now. And if you do use larger text, bold text, and your background ratio of contrast can be a little bit lower. But if you're using, just your simple paragraph case, there is a high ratio that's needed. So offer an accessible palette if your brand colors don't necessarily meet the contrast ratio. So this could be the same hue adjusted for luminosity. And also remember that contrast improves sunlight readability. And if you're on a mobile phone outside, sometimes it's hard to read. Well, this can improve that, make your website stand out a little bit better. And dark mode, this is becoming more popular. Users like to have that setting all the time, or sometimes just at night, right? So ensuring that your colors work for users that have the dark mode setting on, this can be seen as a brand win, not a compromise. Our next section is about legal and compliance. In this question, the European Accessibility Act kicks in next year. It will be this year, actually. What does it actually require? Marta?
So, Mike, we have a hard date of June 28th, 2025. That's coming up soon, so everyone put that in your calendars. And starting that day, most consumer-facing websites, e-commerce, mobile apps, etc., that are serving the EU market must conform with WCAG 2.1 AA or later. And this applies even to non-EU companies. So long as they have a product or a service on the EU market, then that applies to them as well. So if you fall into one of those groups above and you haven't made any changes yet, you want to start with that gap analysis right away. And one thing to note is many teams underestimate localization. Example, the currency or language pickers, PDF invoices. So make sure you keep a sharp eye on that. That will really help you. The last thing you want to do is have a document for a presumption of conformity file. So this is basically a mapping of each WCAG criterion to features. And that's something the auditors will be asking for. Mm-hmm. So our next question, any legal accessibility requirements we should be aware of? Mike?
There's a few. So in the U.S., there's the ADA, that's the Americans with Disabilities Act, and this increasingly applies to public-facing websites, businesses, nonprofits, universities. There's also Section 508, which mandates all U.S. federal websites align with WCAG 2.0 or better. And there's similar requirements at state and local levels. in Canada, there is the AODA, which is called the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. And this is pretty broad reaching. So companies of a certain size will need to meet the WCAG criteria on their websites. There's also the Accessible Canada Act, the ACA, and this requires federally regulated entities in Canada, including government agencies, to be compliant. We talked about the EU's EAA. So generally aiming for the most recent version of WCAG, AA, will meet these legal standards globally. So how can we cater for cognitive accessibility, Marta?
You should follow the W3C Cognitive and Learning Disabilities Accessibility Task Force, COGA for short. Yeah. Well, that's a mouthful, yes. So they have the following guidance. They have 8 patterns, such as plain language, predictable navigation, chunked steps, and error-tolerant forms. So you want to keep an eye out for that. Another thing that helps is to reduce cognitive load. You can eliminate auto-advancing carousels. That's one thing. Also, keep reading order from left to right and top to bottom. And then focus on providing just one primary action per screen. That will definitely help with that. Lastly, offer multiple ways to complete a task. So let's say you have a search, but make sure that you can get to the same place using a menu, and if you have a sitemap as well. So that allows many different ways. People think about how they will look for things in different ways. So you want to be able to apply to everyone's different needs and thought patterns there. And then I'll let people save their progress as well. That will help.
Oh, great. Thank you. And that seems to be our last question. Please check out our reference docs in the comment section, also on the event page in LinkedIn, and you'll find links to an accessibility glossary. So we talked about a lot of terms today that you might have only heard in this context of accessibility. So the glossary will help put some definitions there. There's an article on BAs and what we do in relation to accessibility as well. And we have some YouTube training videos on content accessibility. So you can check out our YouTube channel, and the series is narrated by Marta.
Thank you, Mike. Remember, everyone, as we're wrapping up this session, accessibility is a journey worth taking, not just for your users, but also for your organization.
Well, thank you so much for participating, and we hope you feel impacted